one of the ways that when we talk about renewals with tenants, when you're in an up market or a down market, right? When you're in an up market and they say, hey, I don't want to renew, or you ask for a renewal with a $200 rent increase, right? And it's given that it should be there, right? So what I like to do is pull those comps for them, show them what's going on, show them where the market is. That even with this rent increase, you're still below market. But then let's talk about what's your wish list. Like, yes, sometimes you get I want the $4,000 refrigerator, but a lot of times you get, I want a new microwave. Yeah. Or the dryer takes 4 cycles to dry.
$600 we can spend that.
Like,
okay. Yeah.
Done. Clean the ducts.
Sometimes,
the washer dryer.
as in property management, right? The owner, you've been dealing, that owner hires you, but that tenant's been there for 6 or 7 years. That investor just bought the property. And that investor doesn't even know what the property's like. Yeah. So you go there and you're like, oh my God, the paint's cracking on the walls. The caulk around the bathroom is disgusting. Well, let me come in here and clean this place up. Give me some time. Let's schedule. Let's take care of the cheap stuff, right? One of the easiest things to do is to fix that half bath in the hallway that your guests look at every time they come over, right? Dealing with a lot of, I have a feminist view of property management, right? You want the place to be clean. You want the baseboards clean, the bathrooms clean. Because anytime a woman comes in, with a man or not, they look at it and they're like, that's disgusting. They walk right out. That's the that's the client you want. Somebody who's going to take care of the property, keep it clean. So the easiest thing to fix is that small bathroom that's 80 square feet. Yeah. Put in some new tile, replace, resurface the tub, put in a new Home Depot vanity for a couple $100. Yeah. You just remodeled this whole
$1,500, $2,000 to be out the door. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we all know that how important it is to paint a unit, at least to paint the baseboards, trim, things like that. Things that investors are like, oh, I don't want to spend the money this year. Well, spending the money is why you're going to have a tenant that's going to stay 3, 4, 5 more years, right? And that's really what it's about, retaining talent, right? We as business owners know how important it is to take care of our employees. Yeah. Your tenants are your employees, right? They're the ones that are making it happen.
100%.
I have some questions about where you feel the market is right now, since you have so many units and you're managing all this stuff, and then how the market is here compared to the other market you manage in Jacksonville.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the market is significantly down today. Renewals on high-end single-family homes. When I say high-end, I'm not talking about the ultra-wealthy, but a Boca Raton, single-family home in a gated community could be $5,500, $6,000. We're seeing that those markets are down at least $500. So we're getting people to renew, but when it goes on the market, we're drastically having to reduce the price.
10% maybe.
10%, but the problem is that typically homeowners don't want to reduce the price right away, so it sits for 30 days. Then they feel the sting. Then they reduce it. Now, as you mentioned before, you're 2 to 3 months out. That's $15,000 to $20,000 on some properties. You can't afford to do it. So to me, again, renewing that tenant, even if you're I haven't gotten to the point where I've had to do rent reductions with certain properties, but when owners are coming to me asking for an increase, I'm like, are you not a chance, right?
I get owners that I put tenants in their property from a year ago, 2 years ago, and they're calling me and they're saying, hey, what should I do? Should I keep this tenant? Should we just go to market? I'm like, are you out of your mind? Yeah. You don't want me to release this. This is going to cost you a fortune. Plus you're going to get less money.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say to people, I go,
that's good. You're doing the right thing.
Totally. I say it all the time. I mean, I'm like a broken record. Financially, for me, let's move everybody out.
Right? Exactly. But
terminate everyone, start responsibility is for you. So you're crazy if you let that tenant go. I go, look at their payment history. Yeah. We want to keep talent. So, for instance, to talk about some different markets. So I do a lot of business in Port St. Lucie and a little bit north from like Jupiter, Hope Sound, Port St. Lucie. And a lot of people post-pandemic bought these single-family homes because they were new construction, $400,000, $500,000, getting $3,000, $3,500 a month in rent on a single-family home. Well, you're not getting that up there anymore. It's down to $2,500, $2,750. So we have a lot of owners that bought, at a high, and now it's starting to come back. So they're kind of panicking. You can't sell it right now and make a profit, so you got to just keep it rented. Again, it's about, I sound like a broken record, but it's about not having vacancies. So put someone in there. Even if you're taking a lot less rent, let's get it rented in 15 days. We still have that HOA approval time in a lot of these communities. You're going to be out a bunch of money, but stop the bleeding. Yeah. Get and really focus on who that tenant is, right? I love, in this day and age, focusing on, looking really at who these tenants are, looking at these 2-income families or these people that sold their house and cashed out during the highs, right? Now they want to be permanent tenants for the next decade. what great people to have as tenants. Over 55, financially secure, have owned homes before, understand what they're getting into. They're there long term. The older people get, they don't want to move at all, right? So getting that high rent with that 27-year-old guy that just got out of orthodontal school, is ready to buy something in a year, they'll pay more, but it'll cost you more in the long run. So up there, I'm seeing a lot, even on a higher quality product, rents are coming down. Now, if you look around more the Boca del Rey area, the Palm Beach Gardens, as long as your product is in very good condition, freshly painted, appliances are stainless steel or newer, right? No Formica countertops, you've got at least granite, everything is still renting relatively quickly. The smaller homes typically are having a harder time rent, but either that traditional 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a pool, still a really good commodity to have. Units that aren't being taken care of, that aren't updated, are a nightmare. Yeah. Just bottom line. I am, for the first time in my career.
People are being picky. Tenants are rightfully
absolutely picky.
It's the market shifting to a tenant market.
Yeah.
From a landlord's market to a tenant market.
Absolutely a tenant market. I have, for the first time in my career, I'm turning down homes or rental properties, typically condos, townhouses, where when I go and meet and walk the property and meet the client, if they're not willing to make the repairs and the necessary, not even repairs, like a fresh coat of paint, because it needs it. If they're not willing to do it, let's just try to rent it. I go, you're not really a good fit for me. Tell somebody you're not a good fit for them. Watch their reaction.
Sometimes it's aggressive, right?
It's very aggressive. What do you mean? Well, I can't believe you would say that. I go. I don't want to watch you make the same mistake. Hire me 2 or 3 months later, and then fire me and hire a realtor just to rent it, and then drop the price because you now have had that pain of 3 months. You can't get that money back. You're vacant for 3 months. That money is permanently gone. So if you want to look as an investor, I always try to tell people, you're looking at cash on cash returns today, but look at over 3 years and 5 years. You're vacant for 4 or 5 months. You have all this turnover. You're never going to be anywhere near the point you were, even if you got 25% less rent, but it was consistent over a 4-year period, right? Yeah. You always can do it. I mean, I'm managing some properties in not an upscale area, West Palm. There's a big property where, multifamily property. It's condos, but, all individually owned. And I've got units that are rented at $2,200 a month. And I've got new units that these guys bought, additional units, that I'm trying to get $1,800 for, right? And I've got tenants in that trying to renew their lease. We're trying to renew their lease. And they're like, can I take one of your other properties? And I'm like, I can't do that, but what can I do to make you happy? So we're remodeling some of these units. We're putting in new countertops. We're doing full paint jobs. We're updating, vanities.
Keep them in there.
Just to keep them in there, because it's worth every penny. But having that conversation with foreign investors is not always the easy thing to do.
So that's funny. Just like I was just gonna make a comment about this. We know somebody who manages. He facilitates and manages, right? A ton of condos, and his commentary on this is rents are coming down fast, especially in the condo market.
Yes,
especially in that price point you just described.
He might even have units in those buildings too.
I'm sure
that's like his market.
Totally.
No, it's really about treating that client, that your current client, and making them happy, right? Where it's so easy to ignore that person. Paint my unit. Well, we don't really paint during your lease, right? It's kind of difficult. Usually it gets into a little bit of a spat between the painter and the tenant because you just expect them to move all your furniture for you. So it's like the occupied showings. It's about rolling up your sleeves, going to these properties, getting meeting of the minds, and making it work, right?
Are you seeing this in Jacksonville too? You're seeing a
Jacksonville,
bit of a dip?
Jacksonville didn't have that huge
run up
that we did.
Yeah.
So they're having a steady run up, but again, Jacksonville is Jacksonville is so vast in the space, right? Yeah. We have properties within Jacksonville that are an hour away from each other in the same city. So we're seeing a lot, and that's really a predominant area where we're walking away from a lot of new business because they're just not willing to make the product to a point where
makes sense
for us. But I get it. You own a property, you paid $120,000, and the idea of putting in now just to get it rented $6,000 in paint and appliances, maybe a little bit more. They're just like, we're not able to do that. Well, I'm not able to help you
bottom
line, right? We get like 9% of the rental income. So to kill myself for $80 a month,
doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, because I'm just fighting with people.
Yeah.
You know, because the tenant's not happy, the owner's not happy. It's just, it's hard. So I'm seeing a market getting tighter. You have to have a high quality product no matter where it is, and you got to retain your tenants. So it's a very different market than we were, where you could just put a listing up. I mean, for a while, we weren't even using the MLS to rent things, right?
Right.
We put it on Zillow and you get 50 calls.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen anymore.
That's part of the reason why I wanted to connect with you more, because you mentioned you had stuff in Jacksonville, and I had just spent, 3 days in Jacksonville touring every active multifamily in that market, running around trying to get a sense of it, see if it was interesting. One of my takeaways there was the vacancies are higher than here, and it's softening as well.
Yeah.
And arguably the rents that they have, and even these call it workforce housing multifamily buildings, the demand is a little lighter there. That was my takeaway. You and I talked about that a little bit too, and that was just interesting to me to hear that you had some commentary on that. That's similar to what I found, because I was just talking to brokers and everybody, and when we're underwriting stuff today, I have just doubt of where the rent roll can be pushed to, because over the past 10, 15 years, we underwrite something, we're like, next year will be $100 more per unit, or whatever the number is. We can be optimistic about rents, and we've always won. We've always or overperformed the evaluation.
Not to get too technical, but with the Jacksonville market also is very different. Here we can typically get first, last, and security. We get somebody with a decent credit score. Up there is no last month's rent. There's people typically aren't putting in 1 month as a security deposit. So we've gone to some of these secondary insurance type companies where you can do a $500 deposit, or they're paying their deposit to that company on a monthly basis. So we've done some of these rent guarantee programs to lessen some of the issues. But to me, you're really focusing on going down instead of leveling up, you know, because these properties don't warrant it, you know. There's this great thing out there called Section 8. I think it has a really bad rap with a lot of people, but in certain areas, Section 8 pays higher than the rent. What I like about Section 8 is they have a minimum property standards. So when I tell an owner, hey, why am I not a good fit for you? Because you wouldn't even pass the Section 8 inspection. Your property would take $7,000 to get to pass the Section 8. I can't manage something that I can't at least rent on the Section 8 market. And again, I'm not putting down the Section 8. I like it.
That's a great kind of sales / deflection technique. Because Section 8 is
insulting you.
Federal. You're not personally right. The federal government's insulting.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. And to me, it's there is something about we have to have pride and respect in what we do as human beings. I can't be involved in something where there's a family living in a bad situation because I'm representing someone that doesn't want to pay, right? So there's some about these minimum property standards working with Section 8 that at least gives me some positivity in what we do, right? Putting single moms, people that are school teachers or paramedics. I mean, Section 8, again, has this bad rap it's only low-income people. It's not. It's people that, trying to live in Boca Raton in today's market because you work here and not spending $100,000 a year in rent or mortgage payments, it's not easy anymore.
Well, it's funny you talk about Section 8. So another property manager I know, good client of ours and friend, he was actually on this podcast recently, so Larry knows him too. He manages a good amount of units, and he's kind of been going down the rabbit hole of really trying to streamline the Section 8 process for some of his clients and even some of his properties that he owns to really perfect that, to get Section 8 tenants in much quicker, because you really can in this market, in a down market, you can get higher rents with Section 8. And another guy I closed a deal for, their family, they own hundreds of units and they're almost exclusively Section 8. And I said, a good portion of their units are in not the best areas, like for example, Riviera Beach, more tougher kind of Class C areas. And I said, how do you manage these units and kind of make sure that you don't have crime in the apartment complexes that you're managing and things like that? He said, what we do, even on smaller multifamily, maybe a quadplex or something like that, he said, we'll put in cameras, and then we'll also put in a speaker. And he said if people are mingling outside or we're seeing people coming and going, we get on the speaker and say, no trespassing. We'll be calling the authorities if you don't leave immediately. It's more management intensive, but they said the return on investment, the rates of return for Section 8, it's certainly in a down market are definitely higher.
I mean, have a Section 8 property in Riviera Beach. 2 units on the same property, in between 2 Section 8 inspections, one for the back unit, one for the front unit. They were both vacant at the time. Got all the window unit air conditioners stolen, broke in, trashed the place, left the water running. I mean, it's really rough. And vacancy, that's like one of the hidden things about vacancy is you get squatters. You get people that steal stuff in lower income areas. Another cool thing about Section 8, so I got a single family home off of Palm Beach Lakes, not a bad area, West Palm Beach. Listed it for $2,000 that the owner put in about $20,000, new impact glass windows, new kitchen, new bathrooms. It's been at least $20,000, maybe $30,000. I don't know all the details offhand. Listed it for $2,500, couldn't get anyone. We're down to $2,000, no offers. Got $2,585 from Section 8, right?
Above original listing.
Above original listing. That's what Section 8 negotiated.
It's amazing.
And plus, we've got a single mom moving in there with 2 kids. Her mother, who's elderly, is moving in with them. And she literally was crying how happy she was to move into this house. The owner's happy. I've got this great family moving in. And to me, again, it gets a bad rap. In certain things, certain areas, certain circumstances, there's nothing better than Section 8.
So that's why. So we had like 60% of the portfolio as Section 8, and then the market started running, and we basically have like one Section 8 tenant at this point, right?
Right.
And now we're having the same conversation, even when looking at properties that we might buy that aren't Section 8 properties. We're looking at the Section 8 voucher options, and we're just like, oh my God, we might actually be able to make a crazy return on this if we take the $2,000 rent and turn it into $3,000 with Section 8 as we turn these units, because the market's changed.
Right, and there's this website, I think it's like Go Section 8 and different ones.
Just plug it in.
Yeah, you're not dealing with realtors, right?
Yep.
There's no commissions to realtors. Yep. You're putting in there. People are reaching out to you. And again, Section 8, it's still up to you what tenant you place. We still meet with with our tenants. We still have them do a credit report. We still make sure that their income is legitimate, right? Section 8 doesn't pay 100% of the rent. So you still do your due diligence. You still make sure you still do the routine inspections like you would anywhere else. And you put yourself in a very good position. But, I mean, just not having to pay realtor commissions, not having to argue about the quality of the property because it has to meet those standards. So there isn't the tenant moves in and decides that they have buyer's remorse and I don't like this and I don't like that. It doesn't happen in Section 8.
Yeah.
It's all discussed, it's approved, and it's done. And it really forces the owners to step up at times.
And usually the tenant's grateful because it's not easy for them to always find a place.
They're grateful, and they also know that if they have a problem, meaning they have to be evicted or they're not paying their rent or they're getting in disputes, they lose that golden ticket. So they're a lot more willing to, that was my stepson. He came here. He's not in the house anymore. He caused that problem. It'll never happen again. Let me know what it costs. We'll take care of it, right? You're working with people that are way more in tune with finding a solution than some rich guy in Boca who's like, I'll call my attorney.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's actually something unique too, compared to like the average tenant that moves in without Section 8 and the tenant that moves in with Section 8. They've gone through a process with the Section 8 people. And so they know they've filled out paperwork, they've asked all these questions, they've met with these people. They did all this in order to get to that
They're
point.
not felons, they're not wanted, they're not,
but they also made the effort.
No,
so
you're 100%
mentally,
psychologically. Yeah,
they're like already, like you just said, in tuned with the process, and they're talking to you about like, hey, this is my situation with Section 8. The voucher's changing. I got to pay a little bit more per month. If it's whatever it is, they get this stuff so much that they're dialed in and they're on team. Get it done.
Yeah, they've definitely become part of the team, right? And again, we deal with a lot of horrible situations and a lot of angry people, and to really be able to provide a home for somebody that's never had a home, that they've never lived in a house, they've lived in apartments and stuff, and to provide that a backyard for a kid, You know, it really is like we have a lot of tough stuff in our world, and it really gives our not just me, my team, right? Because you know we employ several women and people with families and kids, and they hate when we have evictions. You know, it's really emotional on our team to do rent collection, to deal with delinquencies. So you got to give them that joy. Yeah. You know, it really helps.
Some of the wins,
yeah. You know,